based on the novel by Ray Bradbury. Something Wicked This Way Comes is a 1983 film adaptation about a couple of neighboring boys who are intrigued by a traveling carnival arriving mysteriously in their town. After its arrival, weird things start to happen in town. People disappear and experience other things out of this world. Suffice to say that these boys, besides their curiosity, try to find out what's going on and are met with an adversary who is out of their league. Something Wicked is a preteen adventure movie with magic, mystery and a little bit of horror. I don't know if it's too scary for children, but it was darker than I would have expected. The sense of wonder and excitement of what happens, however, will probably have your kids on the edge of their seat in between the dark things that happen. Dark, not gory or horrific. This still is a PG-rated movie as far as I'm concerned. Something Wicked is enjoyable and fun and has a weird feel around it that I couldn't quite place. It's as if it skirts a dimension between the real world and the dark shadowy place next to it. It should be bright and colorful, but it's not. It's hard to explain, but it's quite enjoyable and I would recommend checking it out for yourself. Smash that. The Demons of Ludlow is a little horror movie of a mysterious and haunted piano terrorizing a New England town after being played during a 200-year celebration. A couple of people try to find out what the history of the piano is, and as bodies start dropping, decide something evil is acting. The Demons of Ludlow is a low-budget horror movie that should have been a wee bit better to be truly enjoyable. I was left a little bit wanting regarding the plot, acting and special effects. A ghost-like or demonic entity stuck in a piano going on a revenge spree doesn't really give me hope in getting something worthwhile, but still, they could have made it a little bit more interesting. The reason why the piano is cursed and how the movie comes to its conclusion is laughable, and the usage of uniforms and white wigs immediately puts an unintended comedic streak to this film. Overall, The Demons is a novel little film that's borderline on the so bad it becomes good scale, but it just doesn't get there completely. Drop that. The Sword and the Sorcerer is an epic title for an 80s fantasy film. But will this epic title reflect on the actual movie, or will it be another high fantasy stinker that just tries too hard? We follow what happens after an evil king seeks the aid of a demonic entity to remove his rival king from the throne and fails to kill every single member of his family. Years later, the grown son of the slain king and his three-bladed sword. Yes, 3 blades, making you look cockeyed every time he wields it, vows vengeance and seeks to bring down the evil king. What about the demon, you say? Well, that's something I will leave to you to see for yourself. The Sword and the Sorcerer has all the typical elements of a fantasy film. Weird names, burly men, women in distress, dark magic, hope and some weird items, like a 3-bladed sword that can also shoot. Yes, it also shoots a sword out of his sword. It's all very ridiculous, though they bring it to you in all seriousness. Things like this, though typical of fantasy, often take me out of the movie, but where movies like Willow and Cruel kinda work with it, this makes it step a little bit too much in the realm of a comic book. This isn't particularly a bad thing, but I wasn't invested in the world because of it. The movie itself is fine. Swashbuckling or sword-fighting goodness is always around the corner. It offers enough adventure and Conan-esque manliness and gives you pretty much what you would expect. There are definitely better fantasy movies out there, but plenty of more bad ones. At the end of the movie, no spoilers, they even hint at a sequel, something that only arrived 30 years later in a straight-to-DVD movie called Tales of an Ancient Empire that completely bombed and got plenty of bad reviews. Sword of the Sorcerer in the meantime achieved quite the cult status, and what would you have expected with a name like Sword of the Sorcerer anyways? Check that. A cookie-cutter couple are dealing with the difficult task of taking care of their sick child. The chiseled, muscular, manly man tries his best as the blonde, almost bombshell mother gives him a rough time. Things don't get better when all of a sudden they start being hunted by a demon. Demons, exorcism. It all reminds you of great movies where dark and light fight a psychological battle of the mind and the body. This movie, however, immediately shows you what it is thanks to the dreadful writing. Our two actors, and the kid, but we'll ignore that one cause she's a kid, have to deal with. The conversations these people have are so weird, often nonsensical, that you get ripped out of the film immediately. No one in the real world would say these things or act this way. It doesn't help either that we are witness to is shown to us in the most half-assed way. A demon just sitting at a table, for example, especially where the demon is a gooey blob that doesn't really do anything, doesn't strike fear in me. There's a reason ceiling climbing, spider crawls are popular. It's weird, it's impossible, it's scary. A blob sitting at a table doing nothing isn't. Hunting Souls is a badly made movie with plot holes up the wazoo, awful writing, bad acting, and an ending that is just preposterous and weird. Don't watch unless you enjoy seeing train wrecks. Drop that. Old classic movies about huge non-kaiju monsters roaming the earth and killing us poor humans were very popular in the post-nuclear era. Insects of all types grew to enormous sizes and waged terror into everyone. In The Monster from Green Hell we go to Africa, where a village has been destroyed by giant irradiated and mutated wasps. Scientists decide to visit the area and come to the shocking conclusion that shit has hit the fan and it's spreading. This black and white movie from the late 50s is very typical in its B-movie depiction of a giant monster. The monster itself, however, isn't on par with the dread you are expected to have. Imagine giant radiated wasps coming at you. Swarms and swarms flying at lightning speeds and stinging the shit out of you, making you into a bloated puss-laden corpse. Scary, right? Well, none of that happens here, cause the monster wasp isn't even capable of flying. It just scurries slowly over the plains as poor African natives fall victim to its jaws. Whether due to technological imitations or ineptitude in making it look scary, it's a shame they didn't get the monster right. The movie also uses clear stock footage from another movie, and it made me wonder why they did it this way. This movie could have been a lot better and a lot more interesting if they scaled the giant wasp down a little bit and used actual wasps as stock footage or something. But they did not, and it brought down the movie severely. Add to this that the scenes where there is no monster are quite boring, and you end up with a forgettable monster flick. Hell, I didn't even really see a green hell during this black and white movie. Drop that. A black Marine Corps drill instructor has been possessed by a demon ever since childhood. He has been able to subdue this demon through inflicting pain upon himself, but when two Wiccan recruits decide to cast a spell, the demon starts taking over. The premise of this movie is interesting to say the least, but unfortunately the execution lacks severely. This is yet another badly written, badly acted modern horror movie that almost feels like it's from the same people who made Hunting Souls. Nothing in this movie feels right. I don't know if the way the army is depicted in this movie is realistic, but it all feels off. Same for the supposed demonic possession, which lacks the genre tried and proved cliches that are mostly absent from this movie. All you really get to see of the possession is the actor trying to act angry, and he pretty much failed at it in my opinion. These characters are cardboard cutouts and you will all wish them to die. They are unlikable NPCs and have nothing to offer you. I was glad when this movie was over, cause moving from scene to scene was a pain in my ass, and I have a metal ass, so you can only imagine. This movie tries to be Get Out horrors, but fails on the Black Pride level as well as the horror one, and can barely be called a possession movie in my book. The ending, much like Hunting Souls, is atrocious by the way. Drop that. Non-exploitation movie The True Story of the Nun of Monza takes us back into history to tell the sordid tale of Sister Virginia Maria, who was a real-life nun who gave birth to 2 children by an aristocrat and tried to commit murder to cover it up. In this movie she becomes the new Mother Superior and uses her power to get her way. People plot to seduce her and breaking her spirit by abusing and humiliating her. She herself of course has impure thoughts about the men and women surrounding her. To no one's surprise, there are titties and buttocks in the movie, and lesbian moaning and rubbing though merely indicated. There is, however, in the first moments of the film, A weird and quite frankly disgusting bunch of scenes of people watching two horses fornicate. You can look at the massive horse cock in all its glory and in close-up as it mounts a mare and starts humping her, biting its neck, and horrible sounds of horses whinnying through it all. Hell, there's even a close-up of a pulsating horse vagina and, please let me vomit, the male horse. Barkak barfen fi arg licking it clean. I understand the reasoning behind showing how carnal sex can be and how it reflects and brings out the animalistic nature of mankind, but I could have done without that shit. I can't even stand a cat staring at me when I'm pounding the crap out of my lovers, so I don't need to see this in some classic Italian nonsploitation either. Just skip the first 8 minutes and you'll be fine though. The rest is pretty cookie-cutter nonsploitation that has a little bit for the fans of the genre. There's better nonsploitation out there though, and especially those without big horse dick swagging in my face. Check that. Severance is yet another one of those Apple TV series that no one will see. Fuck you, Tim Cook, with your stupid Apple TED Talks. $1,000 screens and special Apple cloths to wipe off your Apple for $35 cause normal cloths are for plebs. Anyways, ignore the Apple stuff and you'll see that Severance is a wonderfully dystopian science fiction series that's an analogy to the daily routine many of us have to endure for decades on end. The monotonous and often nonsensical corporate job that puts you in a cubicle and has you do weird stuff only to get a few scraps and weird team building shit thrown at you just for reaching that weird quota that someone upstairs loves. In Severance we follow a group of 4 people as they work together every day. The thing is, they don't really exist. Well, they do. They are the split mind of other people who live their lives normally, without a job, living a life without the stress of work. How it really works is explained but is left a little bit open. Both exist in the same space though they aren't active at the same time, or something like that, since later in the season the rules all of a sudden change a bit, or not. I don't know, and it doesn't really matter yet cause it is done so excellently that you'll love unraveling the mystery of these people and their real life counterparts and see what is going on. At the end of the first season you'll be invested and witness an extremely chilling season finale, making you ready to go in the thankfully announced second season. I cannot understate how well Severance is made and how it excellently mirrors our days at work and those off work into a compelling and original series. You'll be left discussing this with other people to figure out how the tech works and what will happen next. You'll wonder what the other people in the company are doing, why they are there, why there are goats, and what happens after. If only this show wasn't on a platform few people will get. Fuck you, Tim Cook, but goddamn this is a great show. Smash that. Severance the movie is not to be mistaken with the Apple series, Fuck You Tim Cook, of the same name. In this 2006 movie we follow a group of corporate dicks who are going on some kind of team building exercise somewhere in a hotel. Unfortunately they get diverted and end up in the wrong place. Bodies start to drop and the group tries to survive the unknown group hunting them. Severance started out as a promising movie about a bunch of people reluctantly going on a stupid corporate trip ready to be taken out, but quickly turned into a flick that doesn't really know what it wants to be. On the one hand it's trying to be Office Space. On the other it tries to be the excellently done The Belko Experiment. In the end it is neither, never fulfilling its potential and not going far enough with either the humoristic side nor the battle royale kind of vibe. Severance is not a bad movie per se, it just doesn't step over that line where something mundane goes into a world of insanity. It could have been a lot better, but we're left with a mediocre horror action comedy that will please you only on a night you're really bored. I was also lacking some in-depth satire about the whole team building bullshit many people will have to endure while working for a big corporation for whom you are only a number. Check that. The outfit tells us the story of Leonard, a tailor, a cutter in the mob-infested city of Chicago. Leonard is a classically taught English gentleman, A man who loves his work and loves the art of making suits. He is forced to deal with criminals on a daily basis as they use his store for their own nefarious deeds. Until a night where two major people from the Italian mob knock at his door and demand help. Needless to say, stuff goes wrong. The Outfit is a movie that ISS shot within a couple of rooms with only a handful of characters in total. It's carried by the main actor Mark Rylance, who plays his role as Taylor, or Cutter, with something fishy going on, very well. The interaction with other characters is superbly done and reminded me of the many scenes in Deep Space Nine with Gare, who was known not to tell the same lie more than once. Leonard, much like Gare, clearly has something to hide, and as the movie continues longer and longer you'll realize there's more to him that meets the eye. The Outfit ISS, a tight-fitting movie with a lot of talking, a lot of style and a great, though slightly expectable, ending. The Outfit is a great flick for people who love movies like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, The Usual Suspects, and 1997's Tim Roth movie Liar, also known as Deceiver.